So how many times have you heard someone say that women are more sensitive to men, more sensitive than men, or even implied it? Well, is this necessarily true? For most of us, conversing with someone of the opposite gender is something that we do on a day-to-day basis. While many of us may not think too much of it, we do have very different communication styles, which could cause some miscommunication to arise, things like hurt feelings, uncertainty, and defensiveness. So, what I'm going to talk to you about today is first, we're going to try to understand why men and women have different communication styles. Next, we will examine some of the differences that we have in communication styles. And last, we will think of some ways that we can use to help understand each other better. Now, what causes the differences in men and women communication styles? Well, first of all, men and women use different sides of the brain. As Gina Kolata states in her article, How Men and Women's Brains Differ, posted on February 15th, 1995, she talks about how men use the left side of the brain, while women use the left and right side of the brain. What this means is men use the more logical side, while women use the logical in addition to the creativity, art, and verbal skills. Now, you might be wondering, what causes this difference? Why do men use the left side while women use the left and right side? Well, according to Luann Brisendine's article, The Female Brain, published on September 10th, 2006, she talks about how in the early stages of pregnancy, all human brains start out as female. Around 8 weeks, there's a massive surge of testosterone. And what this does is it defines the sex as male. Now, when this massive surge is going on, the testosterone actually kills certain cells in the communication centers of the brain. Now, for this reason, this is where the difference between a male and female brain comes into play. Female brains, however, start to sprout different ideas in those communication centers and in the centers of the brain that process emotion. So, this is why we do have the differences. So the next thing we're going to talk about is the differences between the communication styles. Now, male and females, we have different communication motives. Here's a quote from Karina Merchant's official article, How Men and Women Differ, published in 2012. So, in this quote it says, men and women differ because men have a more direct approach, a more logical approach, while women tend to focus on details and relationship building. So what we can take away from this is that men are more idea-orientated and women are more people-orientated. Since we have sprouts from more emotional parts of the brain, we do build more connections off of relationships. So, another thing that causes a difference is men are better at focusing on a single task at a time, while women have the capability of being better at multitasking. But notice how I said capability, it's not always that way. Now that we understand a few of the differences, we wonder how can we better understand each other without having these miscommunications arise? Well, one of the first things that we can do is we can first be aware that there are different communication styles beyond our own. That alone is the first step to better understanding someone else's perspective. Now, another thing that we can do to better understand each other is by making adjustments in our own communication styles. Something we can do to better understand someone else is to start asking more questions. This eliminates the confusion aspect. Another thing that we can do is we can start making more statements that start with I rather than statements that start with you. When you use a statement that starts with you, it's more direct and that can cause someone else to be offensive. So, although that men and women do have differences, we have so much to learn from each other, and hopefully you were able to take away some of the main points that I brought up today, which was first, what causes the differences? Second, what are some of the differences? And third, what can we do to start mending these differences and understand each other better? So, the next time someone uses an age-old stereotype on you, hopefully you will be able to understand the actual differences that do reside between men and women communication. Thank you so much for listening to my speech today. My name is Jonna Lenahan. Thank you.